Welcome to Dark Whisper Society. Since you are here, I guess you are a horror enthusiast and you enjoy some scares before sleep. On this channel, I will only post original stories from horror author Dark Monarch. You can find links to his ebooks and paperback in the description box. Stories published here are not included in any of Dark Monarch's anthology books. Please subscribe, like, hype, become member of Dark Whisper Society. Thank you. Enjoy the story. The Frankfurt Rite. I was ordained just 6 months before the Archdiocese sent me to Frankfurt. The call came from a woman named Weber, frail, frantic, her voice cracking like old wood. Her husband, Klaus, a banker, had changed. Not grief, not madness, something else. She said he spoke in languages he'd never learned, that he hadn't slept in weeks, that he'd begun carving into the walls, patterns, not symbols. She said they moved when she looked away. They sent me alone, said it was psychological, said I'd be fine. The apartment was on the top floor of a pre-war building in Sachsenhausen. The air inside was dense, like breathing through velvet. The hallway smelled faintly of iron and lavender. Ingrid met me at the door. Her eyes were hollow, her voice barely audible. "He's in the study," she whispered. "He doesn't like the light." The hallway was lined with mirrors, all covered in black cloth. I asked why. She said Klaus had started speaking to his reflection. Not in German, not in any language she recognized. She'd recorded it once. The audio was just static, except for one moment where her own voice whispered back. I entered the study. Klaus sat in a leather chair, facing the wall. He didn't turn, but he spoke. "You're late, Elias." I froze. I hadn't told him my name. His voice was wrong. It echoed, but the room was silent. I asked who he was. He laughed, a sound like wind through broken glass. He turned. His eyes were not black. They were colorless. Not white, not gray, just absence. Like something had scooped out the pigment and left a void. "I watched your birth," he said. "I whispered to your father before he died. My father had died of a heart attack. Alone. No one knew I was with him. I began the rite." Klaus didn't scream. He smiled. He repeated every word I said, not backwards, but in a voice that wasn't his. A woman's voice, then a child's, then mine. The crucifix in my hand grew cold. I dropped it. It shattered. Day 2, the arrival of Father Merrick. The Archdiocese sent another priest. Young, Polish, Father Merrick. He had a face like a choir boy and eyes that had seen too much. He'd lost his faith during a failed exorcism in Gdansk. A girl had died. He still wore the collar, but it hung on him like a noose. He didn't speak much, just watched Klaus, took notes, prayed silently. On the second night, he confessed to me, "I don't believe in demons anymore, just people and what they let in." Day 3, the doctor and the police. Ingrid called the doctor. Dr. Halberstadt. He examined Klaus, took blood samples. The blood was thick, almost black. He said Klaus's vitals were normal, but his pupils didn't respond to light. He asked Klaus questions. Klaus answered in riddles. "Where does it hurt?" "In the places I've never been." "What do you see?" "Your daughter. She's afraid of drowning." Halberstadt turned pale. His daughter had drowned. No one knew. That night, the police came. A neighbor had reported screams. Officer Brenner and his partner searched the apartment. Found nothing. But Brenner lingered. He stared at the mirrors. "Why are they covered?" he asked. Ingrid said, "Because they lie." Brenner uncovered one. His reflection blinked. He didn't. He left without a word. Day 4, the rite deepens. Klaus began to change. His skin grew translucent. His voice deepened. He levitated during the rites. Once, he whispered in my ear while sitting across the room. I woke to find Klaus standing over me. His mouth was sealed, not with wire, but with skin. His eyes wept clear fluid. He handed me a note, written in Latin. "You cannot cast out what was never invited. I was born in him. I will die in you." I ran. I tried to leave. The hallway stretched endlessly. The mirrors were uncovered. Every reflection showed me. Older, rotting, screaming. One showed me praying. Another showed me eating something raw. One showed me smiling as Klaus burned. I smashed a mirror. Behind it was a cavity in the wall. Inside, dozens of bones. Human. child-sized, but they weren't old. They were warm. Flashbacks, my father's death. I began to remember things I hadn't. My father's death. I was there. He called me to his bedside, whispered something I'd forgotten. Don't let it speak your name. He died clutching my hand, his eyes wide, not with pain, with recognition. Day 5, the final rite. Father Merrick tried to perform the rite. Klaus laughed, not mockingly, joyfully. He spoke in Marek's voice, recounted the girl's death in Gdansk, described her final breath. Merrick collapsed. He wept. He tore off his collar. I can't, he said. He's not possessed. He's inhabited. I took over. I didn't follow the book. I screamed the words. I begged God. I threatened the thing. Klaus convulsed. The walls cracked. The lights exploded. The patterns on the walls began to shift. They formed faces. Mine. Ingrid's. Marek's. They screamed. Klaus levitated. His body twisted. His mouth opened wide, too wide. A sound came out. Not a scream. A choir, singing in reverse. I kept going. I recited every passage I knew. I made up prayers. I cursed. I cried. And then silence. Klaus collapsed. His eyes returned to blue. He wept. He said, I saw hell. It wears your face. I thought it was over. Until Ingrid laughed. She said, he was never the host. You were. Aftermath. I left Frankfurt. I left the priesthood. Father Merrick disappeared. Dr. Halberstadt was found dead in his office, his eyes missing. Officer Brenner quit the force. No one speaks of the apartment, but I still dream of it, of Klaus's voice in my head, of patterns I now understand. Sometimes I wake up speaking Latin. Sometimes I bleed from my ears. And sometimes when I look in the mirror, I see someone else, and he smiles. A prequel to the Frankfurt Rite, narrated by Father Merrick. They didn't send me to save her. They sent me to confirm what they feared. Zofia Kowalska, 12 years old. Her family claimed she spoke with the dead, not in whispers or dreams, but in full conversations. Her grandfather, her unborn brother, a woman named Danuta who died in the building decades ago. She knew things no child should. She described the inside of coffins, the taste of embalming fluid, the sound of dirt falling on wood. I arrived in Gdansk under gray skies and heavier doubts. I'd failed once before in Poznan. A boy named Emil. I tried the rite. He died mid-prayer. I still hear his voice in my dreams. Zofia lived in a Soviet-era block, 5th floor. Her mother met me at the door, eyes red, hands trembling. She's not sick, she said. She's layered. I didn't understand. Not then. Zofia sat in a chair facing the window. She didn't turn when I entered. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. Her hair had been cut short by her own hand, they said. She'd used a kitchen knife. Father Merrick, she said without looking. You smell like burnt paper. I hadn't introduced myself. I hadn't spoken. Her room was silent, but the air felt crowded, like something else was listening. She began to speak in voices. Her grandfather's, her brother's, Danuta's. I asked her how she knew these things. They're not gone, she said. They're just folded. She drew folds, not symbols, not patterns, like origami made of skin. She said each fold was a soul, and she was learning to unfold them. I prepared the rite. She let me begin. She smiled, but as I spoke, she changed. Her skin rippled. Her voice fractured. She spoke in 3 tones at once. You're not casting me out, she said. You're slicing me open. The room darkened. I felt watched. Not by her. By something behind her. Inside her. I stopped. I couldn't finish. My memories slipped. My mother's funeral. My ordination. All folding in on themselves. Zofia stood. She touched my forehead. You're ready, she said. You'll carry me well. But she didn't die. She changed. She dressed in black. She spoke only in Latin. She prayed for hours, but never to God. She told her family she was joining a convent. Not one they knew. Not one that existed on any map. She left Gdansk without saying goodbye. I left the priesthood. I couldn't pray. I couldn't sleep. But I kept the collar. Until Frankfurt. When I saw Klaus Weber, I knew. The same folds. The same voice. The same smile. Zofia hadn't died. She becomes something else. And she wasn't alone.